Hi, this is Sarah Bechtel, Artist Educator for Strathmore. In this video, we'll be discussing simple techniques for blending graphite to achieve smoother shading and gradations of value. In the video titled How to Get Started with Graphite, I began this drawing of an apple and I have my basic shapes of value blocked in. This is a medium surface drawing paper, which has a texture that's perfect for building up many layers of graphite. But you can see that my shading looks grainy and speckled because the graphite hasn't gotten down into the deepest points of the paper's texture. So to achieve more uniform shading, I'm going to use some blending techniques. One easy way to blend is to use harder graphite. I did my initial shading with an HB and a 2B pencil, but I'm going to switch to a 2H pencil. Because the 2H pencil is much harder, it maintains a sharp point for longer. That hard, sharp point smooths out the existing graphite and can get down into those low spots of the paper. This gives my shading a more uniform appearance. When working with hard pencils, I'm careful not to press too hard because they can flatten or gouge the paper when heavy pressure is applied. A natural bristle paintbrush also makes a great blending tool. These brushes have stiff hog bristles that will push the graphite into all the cracks and crevices of the paper. I'm moving the brush in a circular motion to make sure the graphite gets worked into all the low spots of the paper. Blending this way will soften the edges of my apple, but I can get those crisp again when I go back in to shade more with my graphite pencils. Another tool that can be used for blending is a paper blending stump. These tools have a nice point, so they're great for blending in small detailed areas. Again, the stump is pushing graphite into all the low spots of the paper, which makes my shading darker and smoother. Blending stumps are relatively hard, so I'm careful not to push too hard on my paper. If I apply too much pressure with the stump, it will flatten out the texture of my paper, which can make it difficult to apply additional layers of graphite. Although it may be tempting, I never blend graphite with my fingers. Even recently washed hands have oils on them, and blending with your fingers can deposit that oil onto your paper. Graphite is attracted to oil, so blending with your finger can cause unevenness in your shading. You can clearly see that the area where I rubbed my finger is much darker. Once I've completed my initial layer of blending, I'm going to go back into my drawing and add additional layers of 2B and 4B graphite to achieve the correct values and add more detail. I don't want my hand to smear the graphite, so I'm using a piece of scrap paper to protect my drawing as I shade. I'm slowly layering the graphite with linear strokes applied in different directions. Graphite takes time to build up and achieve even layers, so I'm just patiently layering until I achieve the desired value. At this point, I'm now breaking down my initial blocks of value into more detail, creating gradations of value when it is appropriate. I can alternate between applying graphite and blending until I achieve the results that I want. If there are parts of my drawing that accidentally get too dark, a chamois cloth is a great tool for lifting off graphite and making an area lighter. Chamois are traditionally made from animal skin, but there are also synthetic versions available. It's important to keep in mind that as I apply more graphite, the texture of the paper is getting filled with that graphite. Once the texture is completely filled, the paper can no longer hold additional graphite to the surface. At that point, applying more layers becomes difficult or impossible. Therefore, it's extremely important for artists to experiment with different paper textures and hardnesses of graphite, so that they can find the combination that works best for them. For more information about this, you can refer to the videos titled How to Choose Your Graphite Pencils and How to Choose Paper for Graphite. After another 60 minutes of shading, my apple now looks like this. I've developed my shaded areas to the correct value and I redefined the edges that got soft during the blending process. These steps help to make my apple appear round and to give my drawing a realistic effect. Here's the finished drawing shown straight on so there is no glare. I created a wide range of values by applying layers of my 2B and 4B pencil, and I achieved smooth gradations of value by layering graphite and using the blending techniques discussed in this video. Thanks for tuning in.